2012. What a year for games. The highs, the lows, the heart feels, the butt feels, the unexpected hot shit, the overexpected cold diarrhea. This year, we ran the gamut. While I couldn't play them all, amongst the ones I did, here's what left an impression. Assassin's Creed 3. Hear me out here, hear me out. Naval warfare. Yeah, sure, being cool guy Desmond McSassin and stuff was, yeah, but Raton Hageton, the dreaded bane of the New World Seas, fantastic. I had no idea that deep down in my guts, I secretly always wanted to be the badass commander of a warship. It was only until the Aquila brought it out in me that I knew. I mean, who was supposed to know that barking out commands and watching 30 stumbling alcoholics adjust the mast to full sail would be so satisfying? You haven't seen the last of Assassins on Boats. I am down for this shit. Trials Evolution. Trials has always been cracked. I've been hooked ever since the original Flash game, so when I see it stunting and tricked out with way nicer backgrounds, a ton of extra modes, local multiplayer at last, and a track creator that's so powerful that people are making functional first-person shooters, my heart cannot help but skip a beat. Sleeping Dogs. Wei Shen, motherfucker, that's why. I love Hong Kong cinema. Triads, gunplay, elections, and white bloody suits. What's not to love? Sleeping Dogs came out of nowhere and nails the genre perfectly, with an all-star cast of some of the sickest Asian dudes ever. Solid sandbox gaming, brutal executions right out of the movies, and new content that's still coming out as we speak. Fuck you, Dog Eyes. Fighterpedia Episode 7. Enough said. P.S. DLC. This dude looks sick! Sakura Samurai. Remember the really sweet dodge and counter combat mechanics from Punch-Out?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Well, Nintendo and Grounding decided to take them and put them in something so perfect. A samurai-era adventure game. If there's anything you should know about samurai, it's that they dodge shit all the time. This little guy is fucking great. He throws himself right into any unfair fight on purpose, then just frame dodging a volley of rage arrows while closing the distance to cut down an archer. Straight on some Soul Calibur 2 Mitsurugi shit. Kid Icarus Uprising. Sakurai never fails. What about tripping? Okay, I'm gonna let y'all in on a secret. This thing right here, my favorite SNES cartridge of all time. Sakurai put so much game into it, it's filled to bursting with content. It's physically heavier than the average SNES cart. His philosophy of infinite replay value carried over to the Smash Bros. Series, and now most recently, again, to Kid Icarus Uprising. This is a superb rail shooter during flight missions, and a Sin and Punishment style shooter on foot. All in all, it's just a great in-depth package. Look at all this content. Just remember to heed the warnings on playing it for too long, or you too might wreck your wrists to shit like a certain rising superstar. Tekken Tournament 2. I'm a fighting game guy. I'm more so a 2D fighter player than 3D. I've always preferred the core concepts of spacing, cross-ups, and an aerial game in general, instead of sidesteps. But 3D fighters have one thing on 2D, a really strong sense of immediacy. You're always up in each other's faces, scrapping it out. I've been sitting on the sidelines for most of the Tekken franchise, except for Tekken Tag Tournament 1. And well...
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Impeccable tag crash system, music, style, those sweet-ass character intros. You know that moment in a fighter where you just land that one move and it's like, BAM! Yes! Metsu Shoryuken. Galactica Vanguard. In Tekken, every time I perfectly dodge a high attack with a Steve Fox weave, that shit is satisfying. Journey. That game company, man. They're the philosophers behind 2006's Flow and 2009's Flower. They finally present their next piece in this vernissage of unconventional game design. Journey is an evolution of all the organic explorative qualities of Flow. They've decided as usual to make sure that the game is driven by a silent visual narrative. It reminds me of the Forbidden Land in Shadow of the Colossus. Vast, expansive, ready to be explored and traversed, but the only rewards for this exploration is the exploration itself, and the bonds you form along the way. For those of you who can actually emotionally immerse yourselves into a place that tells you very little about itself, just to see where it takes you, Journey is a fantastic way to adventure while sharing the experience with another nameless traveler. They're saying Journey's part game, part social experiment, but whatever you want to call it, man, it's powerful. The very nature of your control scheme has you finding primitive ways to reinvent language. I'm not going to say I was glad I played this. I'm going to say I was glad to participate. The Walking Dead. Telltale Games. They do exactly that. First and foremost, above all else, comes story and the human experience. This one's hard to break into without straight plowing into spoiler territory, but for those of you who haven't played it yet, it's not just about manipulating feels. You do feel the weight of your decisions with every dialogue choice, but once you realize what the underlying purpose of this whole thing is, that's what ends up mattering so much more. Okay, I'll put it this way. It's not so much what you do, or what you choose, or how you survive. It's about what you teach Clementine, and that is really important, because she is a miracle in the form of one of the only child characters ever that is not immediately hateable, and you actually really, really care about her. Sorry, Doug. Persona 4 Arena. Persona. Teaching the kids that shooting themselves in the head is just the first step in becoming awesome. Combination of the sweet anime battle style fighters of Arc System Works and the unparalleled design prowess of Atlas finally coming together. The Persona world jumped into my kind of genre and the results have been glorious. It's a balanced, accessible system at the core, but that's just because the learning curve is as inviting as Smash Brothers games. At the same time, it's deep. It's got well thought out 2D fundamentals for every character. Universal anti-airs? Yes. Why has no one done this sooner? Semi-hyper pacing means you'll sometimes have intense Street Fighter Third Strike style matches, but occasionally you'll hit moments of that Marvel hype, especially when you have to telegraph your moves in advance by calling out your persona long before it's needed. The game even wisely avoided the much hated resurgence of the comeback mechanic in fighting games these days by making sure that you don't get any broken buffs or damage boosts or anything like that before dying. Just more health on both sides, and even then, if you're getting comboed to death without ever recovering in the danger zone, you get nothing. At high level, there's some clearly frustrating characters to fight. Yes. Fuck. But it is possible to overcome them. Practice, grinding, and training will show you the way. Now all this deep fight game talk stuff, whatever, is just to say one thing. This game is great. It is so great. And that stuff I said about dodging with Steve Fox and Tekken, the same goes for Akihiko. In Persona, he's the resident badass that takes on all challengers, weapon wielders, whatever the fuck, with nothing but his bare fists. So sick. Notable mentions going out to those retro nouveau titles. Street Fighter Cross Mega Man, I'm looking at you. Unofficial origins aside, when you make a game with a name like that, you better have some good ideas. And thankfully, Sonic and A Rival had some goddamn great ones. Also, shoutouts to Penny Arcade's Rain Slick 3, because despite being often overlooked, the Rain Slick Precipice of Darkness games have been little charming gems with this great writing from Taiko and a general hilarious atmosphere. The retrograde downscale in this case is no exception. Z-Boyd Games outfitted the game with no bells and whistles, but managed to keep me smiling with it. So there you have it. Man, 2012 took me for a ride. But this year's contenders are already shaping up. Let's take an exclusive sneak peek at the 2013 list. Rules of nature!